Welcome to the RV Small Talk podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about, well, how is Princess Craft, a small dealership in Central Texas, going to dig its way out of this most catastrophic of winter storms for Texas, obviously. But how are we going to do it?
And we're also going to talk about the things that kept us sane in the freeze. We were all stuck home with nothing for about a week, so there are some silver linings there that we'll talk about.
Optimism, I like it.
And then we will add in a little meat to the matter.
Meat?
Mostly water, because
Boiled
we're going to
meat?
talk about
Potted meat?
how to get fresh, drinkable water, because that was a real struggle for literally everybody in our area, in almost all of Texas. So we're going to talk about that because we thought that was very relatable to camping, which is what we have all been doing this week.
All right. Well, let's jump into that. Let me remind you that this week's sponsor is Truck Camper Magazine. They look out for you. They look out for us with fantastic product reviews, information, learning tools. If you're new to truck camping, if you're new to RVing, a lot of that information applies as well. So if you want to know how to use a camper, go to Truck Camper Magazine, even if your camper isn't a truck camper. TruckCamperMagazine.com or on Facebook as simply Truck Camper Magazine. Not only that, if you just need inspiration for your trips, if you want to hear about some fantastic travels, near, far, way over the horizon, Truck Camper Magazine gets people writing in all the time and they share these adventures. So you need to go get inspired. If you have learning, go there, truckcampermagazine.com. We love you. Thank you so much. truckcampermagazine.com.
Welcome to the RV Small Talk podcast, where we talk about trailers, truck campers, and the people, places, and adventures that go along with them. We are your hosts from Princess Craft RV. I'm Lindsay.
I'm PJ.
And I'm Clint. Thanks again for joining us for this episode, and let's dive right on in.
Hey guys, how does it feel to be warm? Actually, I'm still a little cold, but I'm warmer.
You know, I like it. I'm gonna have some takeaways that this is going to be a memory I will actually look back on fondly. I don't think that that's going to be fair across the board. There are some people who really got hit hard. There's been some suffering, and we're going to do our best as Texans to rally around and help them out. But for my household, this is actually going to turn into a memory I enjoy thinking about and talking about.
Look at you, Mr. Positive.
I'm done for today. Bye, y'all.
That's all the positive we get.
All right. Well, what about the dealership? I mean, we basically...
Yeah, on Saturday morning when we got here, we thought, okay, it's going to get bad. But by the time we got here, you couldn't walk in the door because the front patio was iced over.
Yeah, we basically got here and then said, shut it down. We're not doing this.
We're going home.
Yeah, and that's my day off, so I didn't have that experience. But I tell you what, if I were up here, I would have had yet another instance of a busted tailbone.
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, it was unsafe. There's no way that anybody could pick up a trailer and drive off with it. I mean,
pick up a trailer and drive off.
I mean,
we were worried that somebody would try.
We couldn't even drive ourselves. So, yeah. So we, turned off the lights and went home and just got back today. And it's kind of, I don't know, it feels like a weird time warp.
Yeah. Well, we're not even open today. We just had a handful of us come in to do some of the things because the roads are clear enough for most of us to drive. But there are people who still don't have power and water restored.
Now, there was some work that had to go on in the interim from home, from cell phones and laptops. What took place? What happened last week that still had to be shuffled around?
Well, not much because we didn't have internet most of the time. Occasionally it would drop in just a little bit,
right?
But we didn't have internet. Our phones worked, I would say, more than half the time. Our cell phone data would work, but not always.
Gosh, I couldn't text.
Me neither.
I couldn't check weather.
Me neither. I couldn't do anything.
You couldn't do anything. So we just really hope that everybody here and everybody that was supposed to contact Princess Craft, just could understand that we were down for the count.
And didn't show up.
Down for the count.
Although the craziest thing, we had 2 deliveries over this like ice storm of campers. Like people show up with loads of trailers.
Yeah, deliveries to us from the manufacturers.
Transporters showed up.
Like, yes, calling PJ on her cell phone saying, okay, we're here. And
Can y'all come check these in?
We can't even leave we can't leave the driveway. We can't.
I couldn't get there. We couldn't get out of the driveway if we wanted to.
No. Long haul truckers are a special breed and they have a special set of skills.
And they got those campers here from what I saw, no damage, and they unloaded them and put them in the gate. I mean, it was just insane to me.
Well, Texas is really just got one highway going north to south, and it's I-35. And I-35, if there is sand to be had,
it's going to go on
35, right?
I agree.
So they could come straight down and then go straight back up. What they couldn't do is go sideways.
Which is where we all live.
Yeah,
which is sideways parts.
Yeah, right. We are east-west from here. We don't live on I-35. So it's really crazy that they got here. And the only thing I could do is give them the gate code. And thank goodness we have a coded gate. And they let themselves in and dropped things off and left.
Isn't
that crazy?
You can't do much better than that considering all.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the trailers got here. They're safe. And so all the people that we had on the schedule this week to get their campers, now I guess that's the number one thing we have to do is reschedule everybody and try, because they want their camp. Of course they're understanding, but they want their campers, right? They waited this long and then now they got to wait longer. So I think that might be the biggest challenge for us is trying to fit in new customers plus the backlog of customers who didn't get their campers last week.
When messages did make it through, when data worked for that brief instant and all that, did we actually have people contact trying to pick up their campers?
I don't know, because I can't check our phone system because our phone system is a VoIP system, so it's all internet. So I don't have a way on my cell phone to call in and check. I probably could have figured that out, but if I couldn't get on my computer with internet, I couldn't connect to the voice system.
Yeah.
So it was. It's just so strange in 2021 to be completely cut off for a week.
Yeah, so many layers.
Completely cut off.
Yeah, so many layers were really making things pretty much impossible. Yeah. It wasn't just one thing. It was 3, 5, 7, 10 things all at once going, yeah, you're doing nothing.
Yeah. It's like, okay, all right.
When you just keep trying the faucets. Did you do that? I did that.
Oh, yeah. I did not do that.
I just kept, like every time I'd walk by, I'd just be like, maybe, nope.
Well, the way my neighborhood lost water pressure, we were dripping faucets and all that. And then you realize, hey, there's no more drips and all that. So then I just turned everything wide open. And it felt like, because I'm kind of halfway up the hill in our neighborhood, it felt like you could check with neighbors and realize that the higher up the hill was the earlier you lost it. So water pressure would just make sense. Gravity. So I just kept my faucets open for the most part, halfway. And let that pressure draw. That way I had more air in my lines than water in my lines. More air, less likely for breaking.
For freezing,
and I did that for my hot water too. I turned off I have a gas furnace, but definitely if you have electric and you still have electricity, if you don't have who cares? But if you do have electricity, turn off the water heater. And I did it. I just turned my gas one down to pilot.
I saw a post on that too. Can you explain that to me? Because I understand why, but my water heater is full of water, isn't it?
Yes, but
so how can it burn up components when it's full of water?
Well, it's a boiler plate at the bottom of that water heater, and as long as it has either electricity or gas put to it, is going to be heating that water to the point of steaming or boiling, and it will boil off. It'll steam off, and eventually you won't, if it's not refilling because there's no water coming into the house, then you're not going to have any water.
Got
and you're going to burn up, especially if it's an electric. It's going to those electric elements are going to just destroy that water heater.
Well, I didn't turn mine off because I wasn't there,
and you had no power, so it wasn't that big a deal.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, my water came back right after my power came back.
Yeah, so you still had probably 30, 40 gallons of water ish, ballpark. So you weren't in danger, really.
Well, so many people went without electricity, which means they were without heat for a very long time. And Lindsay, you went through that for a few days, but some people have gone all week without it. It's just frightening here.
Right.
And Princess Craft, which is what we're supposed to talk about, is like amazingly fine. We had weird condensation in weird places, like underneath some of the chair mats.
We were sweating in places we never sweated before.
Who sweats under your chair mats? I mean, Clint. Really, that was so weird.
I do.
Little, and it wasn't everywhere. It was just a few chair mats.
But it doesn't look like we lost power here. I mean, I guess there's no real way to tell.
Yeah, because we turned off all the computers, so we don't really know.
Right.
But
well, and the first thing I did when I came in was like, I'm going to go clean my food out of the refrigerator because chances are power was off and who knows. And I come back within a second going, everything's fine. There's no sign of condensation in there. No one opened the door. Obviously, no one was here.
Yeah.
So even if it lost power for a short amount of time, it was fine. It was just a cooler at that point.
Yeah. And we had some weird stuff like on the front wall where water had come in we have bathrooms across the front wall and some water somehow had come in behind the sign maybe.
Okay.
And in that wall because we had like the toilet paper was soaking wet.
Oh.
But the floor wasn't wet. Nothing else was wet.
What?
This begs a lot of questions.
Yeah, so many questions.
I think a ghost came in here and just condensated on everything.
Well, the toilet paper holders are metal, so they cooled off at a different rate. So maybe the toilet paper holders got really wet from condensation. I'm making stuff up.
I don't know what happened, but we have most of the staff in warm places with running water that you have to boil, of course. But hey, it's progress. But not all of us are there yet.
Yeah.
And so, which is the reason we didn't even try to open today.
Yeah.
We are here to just get a few basic things in order, be sure we're ready for next week. I hope it'll warm up. We will actually be warm in here because it's pretty stinking cold. Oh, and our new ACs that we're getting, remember?
Yes.
And they left our old system intact until the next phase, which was coming up last week to turn on the new, turn off the old. Well, the old isn't working anymore.
Well, it's an air conditioner. So.
Wait.
It's a heater, too.
Oh, okay.
We have no heater?
We have no heater. That's why it's cold in here.
Oh, I just figured it's always cold in here.
That's it. All of us with little kids are bringing our kids in here. All that activity will warm this place right on up.
So our old system isn't working. Our new system isn't working. I don't know. Next week's going to be interesting. That's why we're so cold, Lindsay.
Oh.
We're just used to being cold.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't realize that.
Hard to notice, but
all right,
we
but
have
we're
a few hurdles. Yes, and our water's running. All good. So we'll pull it back together next week.
It looks like the building is largely fine. Just a little thing on the exterior of the building in the back, water-wise.
Yes, and what I expect next week is a flood of calls.
Yes,
with people with broken pipes on their RVs because the RV antifreeze, there was not enough to be had.
Yeah.
Our service center is going to be
inundated.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Well, I'll tell you what, I regret to inform you right now, but my line on the phone system is broke too.
If you are anywhere in Texas or anywhere, I mean, there's other states that were impacted by this.
Oh,
but
Oklahoma got it bad.
Please have some patience with your RV service department wherever you are, because we can only work so fast.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be ready.
Yeah. We're going to contact people and communicate as best as we can.
We're going to do our very, very best because, that's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving on to our actual homes and where we hunkered down.
Hunker.
Seems like, we're sitting.
I don't hunker.
You don't hunker?
I don't hunker.
You don't hunker in your bunker?
Nope.
Hunker.
Nope.
Okay. Well, I hunkered. I don't even know what a hunker is at this point.
Do you hunker over yonder?
Yes, way over there.
Where is yonder?
Over.
Well, it's never here is what I've learned.
Yeah.
Yonder is never here.
Get away from me.
I'm going to establish a town. It's going to be yonder.
Oh, wouldn't that be fun?
Mm-hmm.
Yonder town.
Yeah, and I'm going to put a big old suspension bridge over it. So it can literally be over yonder.
Yonder Mail.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to have hot
Yonder Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Focus, guys. Focus.
Okay. So obviously it was hard. But what are the things that are going to be good memories from this time for you? What are you going to look back in a few years and talk to? Hey, you remember 2021? Remember that ice storm?
drinking whiskey with icicles in them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, naturally decorative.
Yeah, well, it was interesting. It was funny.
And then you could use the icicle to like stir it, you know? I don't know. It made you feel fancy, but like in an apocalyptic kind of way.
In a yonder kind of way.
As broke can get, bougie.
That's right.
Bougie broke.
Yeah. Well, we ended up also with snow that was really dry, so dry it would not stick together.
The most beautiful powder I've ever seen. In this neck of the woods.
Incredible. But you couldn't build a snowman. And then we got ice.
Yeah.
So you couldn't build a snowman. So we built a snow lizard.
So so the first wave that hit us was a wet, freezing.
It was just ice.
It was freezing
just
rain. So how thick do you think that ice on the bottom was?
Like 2 inches?
2 inches?
Oh, I don't know. It was maybe
That's an inch.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, it was
like that.
Okay,
that much,
folks. If you can't see us because this is a podcast, she's holding her fingers this far apart.
Yeah, about an inch.
Okay, and then we had what in any year would be rare, but really rare, a second snow event in Central Texas.
And this wasn't a snow event. This was a snowstorm.
Yeah,
it was crazy. We got like 6-7 inches.
And I hear you folks.
Of powder snow.
You're not in Texas.
Texas.
If you're not in Texas, bear with us.
Yeah.
Okay? We get it. But
we're snow babies.
Yeah, we're snow babies. There's entire generations, not just age generations, but generations of people who have been in Texas their entire life, and they've never had to deal with this.
Never.
Across from tip top to left, right, the whole state has never had to deal with this. I've never had to deal with this. My parents haven't. My grandparents haven't. My great grandparents haven't.
You're making me feel old.
I didn't say which category you would have been in, but and if that's the case that there are that many generations that have never had to deal with an event like this in Texas, even if you're outside Texas, there are generations who have never seen Texas have to deal with an event like this.
Well, everybody keeps calling it on the news stations a generational snow. And I'm like,
it's a
generational? Because I'm like, wait, isn't a generation like 20 years? 25 years?
I've always, 20, 40, something, or maybe that age of,
No, I have never, ever, ever seen it stay below freezing with 2 ice storms and a snowstorm for a whole week below freezing. Yeah. I have never seen anything like that here.
And you wonder, why wasn't Texas infrastructure prepared for this? Well, there's been no precedence ever for our infrastructure to prepare for this. There was never a reason to be like Wisconsin or Michigan or
so now
Montana.
We've established that it was really pretty outrageously crazy.
Yeah. But okay, so we had that layer of ice on the bottom. We had this beautiful snow. It made no sense on top of that.
And it iced over again.
And then we had another freezing rain on top of that.
Well, it wasn't right on top of that. It was 3 or 4 days later, but the snow was still there.
Right.
And then it iced over on top of that. And then it was dangerous to walk in.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't tell how far you'd fall or where you'd fall because every step you'd drop 6 inches.
Yeah. And so it was beautiful, crackly situation.
Oh, yeah. It did make all kinds of noises.
But it's insulating itself. If you think about it, you have an ice layer, you have an air-filled snow layer, and then you have another layer of ice on top of that. It was insulating itself.
Well,
it was crazy. It was nuts.
It was crazy.
So back to the fun stuff. Tell me about this lizard, the snow lizard you made.
We were very serious about it.
We were, because it was a day or two ago. Yeah. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday.
Yes.
Where it was starting to warm up. It was like 34 degrees or something.
Right.
The sun was out. We had cleared a little spot on the back patio steps, and we're sitting on the steps drinking coffee. And I said, okay, well, what do you regret? And so we started talking about how we wish we could build a snowman. And so all of a sudden, Richard gets up, grabs a shovel, and starts shoveling all this stuff into a pile, and I'm like, he's lost his mind. Just let him go. I don't know what why are you shoveling off
Grab me another whiskey circle. This is going to be fun to watch.
No reason to shovel off the patio. And then he gets down on his hands and knees and starts patting the snow. And I finally said, what are you doing? He says,
comforting it.
I'm going to make a lizard. And I was like, great idea. So we were at it.
Sold on it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, and those big pieces of broken ice were perfect for, you made like Stegosaurus style fins.
Yes, we put little jagged tops on it, and
the eyes were made out of the tops of their solar lights that stick in the ground.
Oh, fun!
He just pulled two of them up and stuck them in there as his eyes.
And then you put little teddy bear ears on the top. That was kind of weird, but
it was a bear, lizard, gator, snake, pig.
So we're gonna have a picture of this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have lots.
It was fun. And then the kids came out and they thought it was fun for about 20 seconds. And then they wanted to sit and write on it. And then once they figured out that was cold, they were done.
No one likes cold biscuits.
I guess.
That's why we have heated seats in our vehicles.
Well, he was a cold lizard. Too. So. He was a cold-hearted lizard. But we had fun making him. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Okay. What other things? What other kind of comes to mind on good memories to come from 2021 ice storm? Snow.
I don't know.
Storm. Honestly, none until I got to my parents' house.
Really?
Yeah, really. It was like pure survival with no power and no water. It wasn't.
How long before you got there?
To my parents' house?
Yeah.
3 days. And I know that it's not that long.
No, that's hard.
But
that's hard.
And my dog can't walk in it. So he was just going to the bathroom inside. So I was just wandering around cleaning up his messes, and the kids were cold and their noses were red, and we could see our breath inside the house. And it was not fun at all. I mean, the kids were fine, really. But then when we got to my parents' house, they had no water, but they had heat. And then it was like, okay, I can get out of like freak out mode. And then we had a lot of fun. We made obstacle courses around their house.
Oh, that was fun.
That was really fun.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast.
They had to crawl under chairs and push toilet paper rolls with their noses, and then they had to.
You should have told me.
We had some of the weights, and they had to lift a 5-pound weight 5 times, and then they had to throw a snowball into the basket, and then they had to. I don't remember, hop over cups. Yeah. And they did that for
2 hours,
a long time. So
fantastic.
They got bored. So I'd sit in one of the chairs that they had to crawl around and stop them every time and ask them a question. And so I'd ask them math questions or reading questions and then let them go. And I think that was my son's favorite part. At one point, he just wanted to get through the obstacle course so he could come and answer a question, because it felt like.
Yeah. Well,
it felt like Legends of the Hidden Temple type of stuff.
Super cool.
Well, he is so competitive. We played a lot of Uno.
He really likes board games.
A lot of Uno.
We played Uno. We played. My kids learned how to stack up dominoes and then topple them over.
Fun, yeah.
Because they've never really done that before.
And we have giant dominoes. Yeah, we have a domino set that's
blind person dominoes.
That's bigger than that.
Okay.
Whatever that is.
What's blinder than blind? Can't see.
Super.
Is that kind of like when somebody's deaf, if you just talk louder?
Yes.
Well, I find that works for foreigners too.
Yeah, right.
They appreciate it.
If you don't know the language, just talk louder.
But it was fun. That part was fun. And then, I think I'll also remember the other thing is just the way that my neighborhood's Facebook group completely blew up, and it wasn't just 5 people whining about lights. I mean, it was okay, do you need this? All right, I'll be right over. I'm out of diapers. Okay, I'll come over here. Which store is open? This store is open. I need a ride. Okay, you come over here. Okay, we have this.
Right.
And I mean,
entire
even
little
now,
service industries were built up by neighborhood. You had people who were willing to be the 4-wheel drive trucker and busser. You had people who were willing to check door by door because they had some skill set.
Yeah, a guy was wandering around with his water shut off tool and just going and turning off everybody's water and because nobody else knew how to do it. I mean, I don't know how to turn off the main valve water thingy for my house.
I do. I just let my neighbor think he's turning off his water, and he turns off mine.
There you go. See, what happened at my house is the whole neighborhood had water except for my street because the hydrant busted or something.
I have a theory that may actually have saved your pipes.
I Yeah, but I didn't have water before everybody else lost water.
Lucky.
But I don't have any burst pipes, and other people in the neighborhood do. Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, yeah, some good things, but I'm not going to lie. The first few days were, I don't have a lot of good memories from that. That was terrible.
So this comes back to so many times. I always say this probably too often. The worst camping trips turn into the best stories. And this kind of fits that same kind of mode to me. I love being on this side of the event and feeling like, yeah, we made that. We survived that.
Yeah,
we did that.
And no, we aren't pioneers and Ticonderoga wagon something or other. I'm not sure the Ticonderoga. Is Ticonderoga a type of wagon?
What are you talking about?
Anyways,
I don't even know what that is.
I'm not a settler trying to cross over the Oregon Trail and dying of dysentery. But
good.
It's cholera.
But I did survive this, and looking back, I didn't have water, didn't have electricity, and didn't have internet or data. Fantastic. Made things uncomfortable. But when I needed water, I had a whole backyard of it. All I had to do was do some pioneer style work for it.
Yep. Yeah. And shoveling snow was kind of fun because it was so light.
Yeah.
Like it felt like shoveling clouds.
and when you boil it down, it doesn't make very much.
I heard them explain that most snow is 10-1, which means 10 inches melts down to 1 inch of water. But ours was 20-1.
That was so fluffy.
It was so fluffy.
I felt like it was like when you put when you cook spinach.
Yeah.
Like you
where'd it go?
Get a big handful
fill this pot and it's done.
Like, a little bit.
Entire pot, now 1 wad of chew.
Yep.
Yeah, but we had those giant pitchers, like you'd make drinks in, and we go out and just scoop the snow and put it in these big storage tubs.
And one person would get a cup of something.
It was easy. It wasn't hard to do. And we had probably, what did you say, 10 inches outside the back door?
Easy.
Yeah, 10 inches, for a long ways that was clean. It was just on patio. So it was easy to scoop up and not have to get in the dirt. It wasn't icy up until near the end. So it really was easy. And, when I talk to people around the country, they're like, oh, yeah, we were iced in for 3 days once. I'm like, guys, you realize this is 7 days? We're going on a full week of sitting here with no power, no water, no nothing.
Yeah. And we don't have any kind of help.
7 days.
Yeah. We don't have snow plows or salt for the roads or anything.
I had the wrong shovels for shoveling snow. A sharpshooter's not as efficient.
Wait, there's snow shovels?
Yeah.
Snow shovels?
Yeah, 90-year-old man across the street had one, so I went to town on his driveway for him.
Oh, yeah, like in Home Alone.
Yeah. Good.
That's the first thing I thought of.
Really?
Yeah, you can whack a burglar across the face with one. Really good.
That and paint cans.
Yes.
Now we know.
Anyway.
Most cringy moment of that entire show, Home Alone movie was the nail. The nail on the step. Have you seen a doctor's breakdown of the damage that each one of those?
Why would you watch that?
Because that's what's interesting to an adult.
Okay. That's a Clint style adult.
Okay, so we had
after 7 days of snow bound, we have just deteriorated to all kinds of crazy conversation.
Yeah, well, it's fine. But we do have some positive takeaways, right?
We do.
We have some memories that are good. And I think this is going to inform some of the things that my family does moving forward. Maybe we'll be better about using water and electricity in the house. I've always gone around the house being like the guy who turns off lights. Maybe my family will come on board.
Maybe.
Maybe I will keep on using brackish water to flush the toilet. Who knows? Probably not.
No.
No, but seeing how much water it takes to flush a toilet is just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, how fast you can go through one of those giant tubs if you flush it too often.
And I wondered this on the live stream yesterday. All the people who said the heck with toilet paper and getting a bidet after the coronavirus toilet paper shortage, how badly did that go for people who went that route?
I bet you still have some toilet paper.
I mean, or some old socks.
Yeah. Nice. Since we had heat, we just didn't have water throughout this. The cringiest part for me was when you didn't flush the toilet because we were
saving.
Yeah, trying to be judicious with the water we had collected and flushing the toilets. And oh my gosh, you just don't appreciate toilets that flush until they don't.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, we create so much awful stuff.
Yeah, humans are dirty. Dirty animals. Humans are dirty.
Yeah. So I don't know. We all have learned to appreciate things a little bit more.
Absolutely. We came out, I think on the other side, for the most part, those of us who are at least in this room, we've come out somewhat better for it.
Certainly learned a few things. That's for sure. But I hope that we can actually come up with some things so that when people are camping, they can learn how to have safe water and how to get there if they ever find themselves in a difficult position.
Yeah.
Which, sometimes you get to a campsite and the water smells terrible.
Yeah.
Or you put it in your cup and it looks terrible.
Right.
I mean, I'm really glad that this week we're going to talk about some ideas to take care of that. That, some of them are pretty easy and you can do them anywhere. So
sure.
That'll be one of our takeaways from 7 days of camping in our houses.
Well, let's go ahead and jump right into that because water is foundational.
Absolutely.
We absolutely have to have it. And we learned to work for it a little bit more this go around. So the number one thing that has happened in our respective communities, because we don't necessarily, all three of us, live close to each other.
Nope.
Is we had to make sure the water was potable. Potable? I've heard it both ways. I say it wrong each way. It's like a USB. You're going to flip it over 3 times before it actually works.
You mean an USB?
Yeah, an USB. Yes. So we had to make our...
So I don't know. I heard somebody else debate whether it was potable or potable.
Yeah?
And they decided it was like how to spell gray.
Oh.
Yeah, but that depends on what part of the world you live in.
So it depends on maybe what part of the
Across
country
the
you're
pond,
in. Do you
it's
call
gray.
it potable or potable?
I see a survey coming on.
It's pecanable or pecanable.
It is not pecanable.
Well,
no.
Get out with pecan.
And it's not pecan.
Can you believe this guy?
I know.
Jeez.
You're from Texas.
I
Come
love
on.
me.
You can't talk about
Pecan.
pecans.
Gross.
Okay, so what did we learn in our research and our living over the past week on how to make water ready for consumption? And obviously, you don't have to go through all these steps to wash something, a human body, or to wash plates and dishes necessarily, but to consume, to ingest.
If you're going to brush your teeth, even giving water to your pets. You want to make sure it's safe, or drinking water for you. And I think this is really important because I know I struggle with this, being when it's cold outside, you don't drink as much water. And so it's easy to get dehydrated, especially if you have to work hard for safe water. You just have to do it and make sure you drink enough water when it's cold, because we all forget to drink water when it's cold.
And you may think, okay, I've actually not done anything, but even at rest, our bodies perspire. We lose a lot of moisture through our skin, just a whole lot. Yep. And we're so used to it from day one of living that it's no big deal. We don't think about it. But this is why they recommend, I don't know, something, I wish I'd looked this up, something like 2 gallons per person a day, technically, is what you're shooting for.
Like to drink?
Well, for preserving your life in that day, for
I think
drinking.
It's half the amount of ounces.
Oh, we're getting scientific now?
Yeah. Of your weight.
I really like how we're experts.
So if you weigh 200 pounds, you're supposed to drink 100 ounces.
Okay.
Which seems like a ridiculous amount to me.
Yeah, but if you think about it, there's moisture in a lot of stuff that we consume anyways.
Right.
And I think it still adds up. Like if you have something you're eating, I think that moisture counts.
Probably. It may be hard to get that. And maybe that is for optimum health.
Yes.
That certainly isn't for what you need for staying alive.
Yeah. Survival health is not the same thing as going for optimal health.
Right,
we're not going to be entering an Atlas or Mr. Herculean man competition or anything like that.
And if you're Tom Brady, I think he drinks an ounce for every pound of body weight.
Okay.
All right. So how do we make safe water?
Safe water. Okay. I think the first thing is find a source, the best source you can for collecting it. Now, we were collecting snow. Most of us, for better part of the week, that was our best source we had.
And wouldn't snow be clean?
No, not necessarily, because it does pick up whatever is falling down through the atmosphere.
Okay.
And in a large urban area, that's going to be not just air,
but pollution and all that.
And whatever's coming from the different plants around.
Okay, but when I am looking for potable water, the one thing that I worry about that they say you have to really pay attention to is the bacteria and the viruses. Okay?
Okay.
So is it going to get bacteria and virus coming through the air?
Bacteria, yeah, absolutely can be there. Sure.
Okay. I would think it would be just fine. I know that you can get bacteria and stuff like that out of river water.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, let's face it, the number one way to kill all that stuff in water is going to be to boil it, right?
Right. And that's going to be our
Just boil it.
Our first thing, first suggestion. So actually, even before first suggestion of boiling, let me call this half suggestion. When you've got it from the ice state, from the snow state, and before you get it into the pot to boil, this is a good time to actually filter. And this is not the order I was doing it last week. So I'm doing some research today before the podcast. They actually recommend to filter before boil. Because
that's going to get out any big pieces of things.
Right. Sediment and things like that, that if you boil it could actually break down more and whatnot, or release some stuff into, let's say some of the snow came off of a tree branch or whatever, and it was a sickly tree branch. Let's just make this up while we're going. Okay.
Let's make it up.
And I boil it before I filter it. Well, some stuff from within that bark or whatever that came off in the snow has come out, leached out of that sediment into the water, and that won't filter out. Right. Whereas I would have got it if I'd filtered first.
Okay. So, all right, that makes perfect sense.
I used coffee filters because I had those.
Oh, so is this like our coffee podcast where you filtered it all through socks?
I mean, who doesn't like a good feta cheese flavored coffee in the morning?
What?
Gross.
Oh.
Hey, that reminds me. When I left, you were going to make...
Yeah, it hadn't happened yet. I had to order some cheesecloth. I want to make cottage cheese with my daughter at home because why not? It's just something to do. And we had to order cheesecloth to do that.
Cheesecloth would be a great thing to have in your camper because you could filter anything with cheesecloth.
Yeah.
That would be a great thing to filter your water with.
Sure. You can do a lot of stuff with cheesecloth.
What about a dryer sheet?
No, it's got stuff in it.
It'll smell great.
No, that adds.
What about an unscented dryer sheet?
I don't know.
You're looking for soft water, huh?
It still has stuff in there to soften
These are
the
valid
water.
questions.
Yes. And no, it's got stuff in it.
So,
but a paper towel, if it was
like
strong enough.
Flannel.
What about just like a t-shirt?
Yeah.
Yes.
As long as it's clean.
I would layer it, maybe. Have a few layers to go through. So filter first if you can to get the sediment out and then boil. Now, in my research, when it comes to boiling, I still say boil because it's a very visual, you don't need a thermometer sort of thing to do. You know it has reached the point that will negatively affect most bacterias and viruses if it's boiling.
Right. Now, the CDC says to boil it for 1 minute, but
at normal elevation.
Yeah, well, close to sea level. How's that?
Yeah, normal elevation.
So what if
Now, if I were to go on the WHO website, then they break down, they break down which bacteriums and viruses survive up to what temperature if you're heating water. And none of the temperatures listed here in all these studies, and I'll try to include this PDF link in the show notes. None of them are actually as high as boiling.
Really?
None of them on this list. And
so if you boil for, I would assume that they're saying boil it for 1 minute just to be sure people boil it.
Yeah.
Actually
just
boil
watch,
it.
Yeah, see bubbles.
Yeah,
for
see
a whole
enough
minute.
bubbles, and
they
don't see
boil.
Yeah, they don't see one little bubble come up and say, "Oh, done."
Yeah. So a rolling boil. Now, so that's exactly what I'm saying. I still suggest boiling because you got it there.
Okay.
But you don't technically need it that hot. But how else are you going to tell if you don't have a thermometer?
How do you know? Yeah.
So,
boiling is just the best visual way. Yeah, just boil it.
Just boil it, and then let it cool down. Don't cool it down by adding ice because you might be adding something else to it.
Right.
Put it in a clean container, and if you can, seal that container off because you don't want any chance of introducing something else back in it. Now, we talked about some other ways that are out there for campers in particular, other than boiling.
I was about to say, of course there's always build a fire to boil water, but in my situation, having no gas stove, I had no way to boil water. I had no propane, no gas. So what's another way that you can make water safe without heat?
Okay. Which way do you all want to tackle first? The chemical way or the camping filter, hiking filter?
Chemicals.
Let's chemical, because that's what something
delicious.
I think that is the next most popular way to get safe water.
Yeah.
And it's something super easy you could throw in your camper just for emergencies.
Prep.
You might even have it in your camper anyways, because the first way to use chemicals is actually unscented household bleach.
Yes. And I know that works. I would have to be really desperate. I would put the chlorine tablets in it. Yeah. And it's so many drops per gallon and whatever of a certain percentage of bleach, because bleach is all different percentages, just like alcohol.
Yeah. Be careful when you get that new bleach where it's in the smaller bottles and it's like the concentrated bleach.
Ooh, scary.
Don't use that like normal bleach. You'll be screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I just have to say that's doable. Yeah. But I would have to be at home and have internet to be sure I'm doing the right thing,
right, and
be very careful with it. But there's such a simple way to do that if you just have the tablets, chlorine tablets. That it's got the little directions on the box. It stores in your medicine cabinet or whatever little safety box you have in your trailer. Super easy. And the directions are there. You drop it in a gallon of water, let it sit for however long, and you're good to go.
You know why I love this is this is very campable and hikeable. Let's say you're camping and you go on a long hike. Put it in your pocket or your backpack and you have this solution with you. And I'm going to try to include this. This is a cdc.gov webpage. And it has boiling and disinfectants. It has the breakdown on how many drops. I'm not going to talk about how many drops right now. Look up the website. But another thing that you'll find hikers use is iodine tablets.
Yes.
So what's the difference between an iodine tablet and a bleach tablet?
One makes your teeth whiter.
And one doesn't.
I don't know.
It's just a different type of treatment to kill bacteria and viruses. That's all. Just a different type of treatment. And, this kind of reminds me of those little life straws you can buy.
Okay, so that's going on to filtration versus a chemical thing. Yeah,
that's absolutely right. But another hiking wonderful thing to have with you in case you get out there, you drop your water bottle, and all of a sudden you've got another 10-mile hike. It's 90 degrees outside, and you've got no water.
Yeah. Now, what that will do is it will clear out, obviously, sediment. Because it's a filter system. Those life straws, it's a filter system. It has usually 2 or 3 stages, and it gets down to like 0.1 microns or something like that. Something really small.
Yes.
And that'll get out most sediments. It'll actually get out most bacteria. It may or may not get out most viruses because viruses are so small. But if you're way, way, way out there in the backcountry hiking with one of these things, you're going to have less chance of running across viruses anyways, unless, of course, there's a dairy farm upstream. But
yeah, but it's the bacteria that most people worry about when you get out there, the Giardia and things like that can run through that river.
Or so anyway, little microscopic organisms, a protozoa.
But when I watched Naked and Afraid, they said that you can drink the water because if it's coming out from the ground.
Well, that's spring water. Yes. Because it's coming from underneath the earth and it's coming through the rocks. So they said,
they filter it. It filters through the rocks.
Yes.
Okay, so that's another thing is just like the caves that you went to this past month, I guess. Water that's come through like limestone and all that, limestone's a great filter. It just takes forever to get to you. But yeah, if you're on the underside of that and it's dripping down, collect it.
Absolutely. Yeah, the spring water that comes up. But once it runs down the side of the hill and into the stream, then it can have all kinds of things from the stream in it.
Because everything down that hill is a dung beetle.
Yes. Or I mean, all kinds of fishes and things living, but coming up from the ground, it's not going to have all that in it. So that's great water. I mean, a lot of the water, the bottled water, they say is straight spring water that they tap down to the spring. And I'm like, okay.
You can play with words so much if you're a water bottling company.
Yeah. But anyway.
Okay, so what about this other one that it's maybe not as easy, but distilling water?
It's doable.
Yeah, absolutely. And it makes some extremely clean water. Now, what it won't have in it, when you're boiling water and when you're distilling water, you're getting maybe some less minerals.
Okay,
good minerals.
The thing to me is that if I am like camping, I don't know how to distill water.
Well, you do if you read a little website.
Well, why don't you tell me, since we have a podcast?
Yeah. Okay.
How do you do it?
So, I'm no distiller. I've made no white lightning or anything like that.
Good to know. Fun fact.
Yeah. So, in my mind, what you're doing is you're basically taking the water, you're boiling or evaporating off water, and the water that gets evaporated goes up another pathway and collects and condensates and drips down.
Okay, yeah, and I get that, but how do I have the gear to do that? Do I need special gear? Can I do that with stuff I have?
Yeah, you can do that with very small camp cookware. Absolutely.
Okay. So how do I do that? Like take the lid off every now and then and let it drip into something else?
That'd be a slow method, but yeah, a lot of people,
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, a lot of people like dig a little hole and put their boiling pot down that, and then they'll kind of cover it, and then the cover will be kind of conical shape, if you will, or triangular shape. And so it'll condensate in that cover, but that cover will be larger than the pot below it to one side, and the drip will travel to a collection container a few inches or so away.
Haven't you ever seen moonshiners?
No.
Yeah. And this is something that I've seen on like Man vs. Wild and all that doing. And they will do that with, don't hit me, y'all. Don't throw stuff at my head. This is what they will do this in certain environments that will allow, the heat will allow this to happen, is they'll do this with urine, and they will distill water out of urine.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but it sounds like you still need to have some conical piece of equipment with like leaves. A tube coming off.
They use leaves because this is Man versus Wild.
Bear Grylls.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Rawr. All right. Well, I'm just saying this is off my list of doables because
I'll just die.
I do not know. I do not know how to build a conical distillery from leaves.
Well, conical is probably the wrong word. You just need something kind of leaf shaped that will collect steam from above the boiling pot and direct it to a drip pot.
Okay. Well, whatever. Not doing it. Not experimenting with that. I want tablets, or I want to boil it, or I kind of like the method. Now, I know that there's ways you can use the sun. If you have, say, a plastic bottle and it's clear all the way through and you put water in it, they say, or I have read that you can put that out in the sun for 4 hours and it's going to kill the bacteria and viruses that are in it from UV rays.
Yes.
It's a basic UV filter type water treatment. Is that true?
Absolutely works for little organisms. And absolutely works for a lot of the bacteria out there. Does not necessarily work so well for the viruses out there. They oftentimes can hold up fairly well under that, but you're going to find that UV filtration or sterilization, or it's not filtration. Disinfecting. Yeah, there. We'll use that. How's that?
There probably is a difference in all those, but I don't know what they are exactly.
UV is a great way to go. If you can keep your water from evaporating away from you, then because when I'm way out there camping and all that, or backpacking, I am somewhat less concerned with the viruses than I am the bacterias and the protozoas and other organisms that are out there. So why not? Yeah.
Okay.
In all of this, it reminds me that when you do these processes, people oftentimes don't like the flavor of the water after it's been filtered, which, I mean, who cares? You have water. You can reintroduce that, something of a more pleasant drinking experience back if you basically bring air back into that filtered water. So you'll have people who will just kind of take two vessels of water, or two vessels, and they'll just pour it back and forth several times, and that will basically bring air, oxygen back into it. Or they'll use like a little bit of salt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that will go a long ways. And your body's going to need salt anyways, particularly if you've been active.
So really, we're talking about two different processes here. There's filtration, which is going to take out the nasty smells, the chlorine, and all the like minerals and calcium and all that. So you don't have any of the bad stuff, but it takes out the good stuff, because that's what your water filters do going onto your RV. But what we're really talking about is purification.
Safe. We need safe. Yeah.
So purifying your water to kill the bacteria, hopefully the viruses. They're a little trickier.
They're a little harder.
But all the things that will really introduce bad things into your gut and make you sick.
Yeah. So here's what I would like. And we mentioned the Life Straws. I love those products. Absolutely. And I actually have a kind of a Life Straw as another manufacturer style bag that you can fill up, and it's a couple gallons.
Right.
But here's the deal. These are things that we would recommend that you have in your camper. Some combination of these, Now those tablets, they can go bad. They don't make the best tasting water. So if you're going to use them just because you have them before they go bad, strong coffee is my suggestion. Make strong coffee with that water to cover it up. But make sure that you have some combination of these filters or tablets with you, and that you practice with them. And yeah, stay healthy.
Yeah.
And hydrated.
Yes.
Definitely. Well, I think I would put a few of these together. That's my plan. And then I'm going to make coffee, because I'm going to filter it, because a lot of times that'd take a lot of it out.
Yes.
And then I might even, I don't know, do you do a tablet of chlorine and then filter it?
I think I start with filter first to get the sediment out.
Filter, then purify.
Yeah.
And then strong coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which will have a filter. Hopefully, unless it's camp.
You
coffee.
guys should have seen that face.
Yeah. Exciting. If you want to go overboard with the filters, you really can't.
Yeah. Well, the links that actually will tell you all the details that you want to know, and not just our quirky overview, will be in the show notes. So you can check that out at rvsmalltalk.com.
Along with pictures of the snow lizard.
Snow lizard.
Okay.
Did y'all name him?
No, we didn't.
My daughter named him Barbecue.
Lizard Barbecue.
But she names everything barbecue.
That explains it.
Explains what?
It's so cute. What's his name? Barbecue. All right.
It must have got a good reaction the first time, so she's repeating it.
Yeah. She likes her baby back. In the meantime, once again, go check out the Truck Camper Magazine, folks, over at truckcampermagazine.com. They have things that will help you have a blast with whatever type of camper you have, any question you have. If you want inspirational stories, truckcampermagazine.com has them. So, tips, tricks, and inspiration at truckcampermagazine.com. Go check them out.
If you haven't joined us yet on Facebook, we have an RV Small Talk community page where people can share pictures of their camping trips. They can ask questions, suggest topics for us to talk about, all kinds of stuff like that. So join us over at Facebook. We have an RV Small Talk podcast, and then we have our RV Small Talk podcast community page.
Do that one, y'all.
And if you like listening to our podcast, we would absolutely love it if you would go on Apple Podcast and give us a rating. At 5 stars would be awesome. But that 5-star rating and the comments really help us to actually get on the map and reach more people, so that we can share our content and hear back from them. So thank you so much. If you've gone on there, rated us, we appreciate it.
In the meantime, we will put together more ideas for our next recording of the RV Small Talk podcast. Join us then and there. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Stay warm.